All right. Well, here we are, the big finale here at BTI Giving Tuesday Live, and we are joined with going out on a high note here with Fay-Wei Li, who specializes in studying ferns. So, Fay-Wei, tell us a little bit about how you got excited about ferns. Or just how you found your way into plant research in general.
Ferns are fantastic, like.
Oh yeah, by the way, we're calling this segment Between Two Fern Genomes, right? Was that a name of one of your papers?
Yeah, Between Two Fern Genomes. Yeah.
So, Fay-Wei you're on Twitter, very, very hip scientist here, right? So you can follow him.
Fern-Wei.
Fern-Wei, at Fern-Wei
Yeah.
is his Twitter handle. And you can, he gets the pop culture, which we really appreciate here. So I'm sorry, you were telling your story about how you got down this path of being a plant scientist.
Yeah, so I grew up in Taiwan. It's a little island close to China. We have a lot of ferns in Taiwan. We have over 800 of fern species. In comparison, the whole North America has 400.
Wow.
And Taiwan is like a quarter of Tennessee, basically.
Wow.
So it's a tiny island with a lot of fern diversity there. And my parents has a house in the mountains, and then I visit in the summer and stuff. And it's just so incredible, the fern diversity. So as a kid, I want to identify them. So I have a field guide and trying to key out all the fern species. And it just got me hooked into the fantastic world of ferns.
So what was the first step? Undergraduate? You went right in. You knew right away when you got into college.
I had a little science project when I was in elementary school. It was a summer project to key out all the ferns in my parents' backyard.
Wow. How many were that? How many was that?
Probably 100 of them.
Wow. Okay.
It was a lot.
And from there,
I got an A, by the way.
well, of course. From there, you said this is my path.
Well, the teenager years is a bit, rocky, but then in the undergrads, I fell back in love.
That's what teenage years are all about. So where did you do your schooling?
Yeah, I did my undergrad in National Taiwan University. I get a lot of freedom to do whatever I want. So over the weekends, we can go to the mountains and chase cool ferns. During the weekdays.
Chase? Are ferns fast? Do they move quickly?
They don't move. Yeah. We walk really slow when we are chasing ferns.
That's good.
Yeah. But in the weekdays, we went back to the lab and then trying to identify them, look at their DNA, and I enjoy my undergrad a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So you eventually made your way to Duke.
Yeah.
Before coming here, what was that like?
America.
Or what did you do? What did you do at Duke? Besides watch basketball.
Yeah, go Blue Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when I first got to Duke, I spent most of my time studying ferns in Asia, right? So I wanted to study something more exotic to me. And I told my advisor that I wanted to work on neotropical ferns, like ferns in Central and South America. And so she gave me a project, and it turned out that group of ferns turned out to be a new genus. That if you have a new genus, you need to give it a name, right?
Yeah,
and
you get to name it.
My advisor and I sort of had a crazy idea of naming after Lady Gaga. So the genus is called Gaga.
And so you discover this genus.
My advisor and I did.
And you both did. And Lady Gaga has an affinity for ferns?
Yeah.
Or you have an affinity for Lady Gaga?
Well, I will hope that Lady Gaga will love ferns. Yeah, so first, my advisor is a huge Lady Gaga fan.
Okay.
She will force us to listen to Lady Gaga's music when in the lab. So
Force, come on.
Well, in the beginning, right? And later we sort of all got into Lady Gaga together.
Okay.
So yeah, it was fun, and my ferns become a celebrity for a day or two.
Right. And so, as the story goes, apparently naming your ferns after a celebrity earns you a place in a well-known publication
Yeah.
called Rolling Stone, right? So the ferns made it into Rolling Stone. How did that happen?
The ferns made it, but my name is not. It was just say Duke Researchers. So.
Oh, that's not fair. Rolling Stone, come on. If you're going to include the ferns, you have to include the people that discovered the ferns.
My name is not important.
Well, okay, so you were at Duke, and then you came here. What was it about BTI that made you think, you know what, going from studying tropical ferns or living at a place where ferns grow all around me on this nice island to the middle of upstate New York?
Well, look
Seems
at
like-
the atrium. You have, last time I counted, you have 6 or something fern species on this little atrium here.
Oh, right in the atrium, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the reasons I got here.
As long as you stay in the atrium all winter, you're going to be okay. But what was it? What was it? Was there something about the Institute where you saw a good opportunity here?
Yeah, people here are doing so many really great research and lots of collaboration going on. There are people working on genomics, people working on really mechanistic details of how plant work in general. There's people working on small molecules. So really diverse, and I feel I can really thrive in this environment. Lots of collaborations, lots of great ideas, and really nice people.
So for the average person that doesn't know a lot about the science behind ferns, for example, or plant science in general, what would you say to them is, what do you think is, one of the more interesting things that we should know about ferns? What do they, what do they do for us? What are ferns doing for me, the person? I see them all over the woods, I admire them sometimes, but I don't really think much about what are they contributing? Why are they unique?
So a lot of things I would burn, the fossil fuels, for example, they were fern fossils. So ferns powered our, the humans basically. And
So you were a big proponent of fossil fuels.
I don't have any opinion on that.
No, but so ferns are really old, right?
Ferns are really old. Yeah, ancient lineage. They come here 400 million years ago. That's a really, really long time ago. Yeah, they found fossils that we burn now.
And what else? Well, I mean, I've heard that ferns are desirable or are of interest because they have an ability to, like cleanse or clean the air around them. I'm not saying this right. It's been a long day, but
well, so
they think there's some sort of ability there, right, to take care of.
So some of them are tasty, right?
Well, yeah.
So I remember when I got here, it was in the winter, and then come the spring, and I went to the Wakeman's, and I saw fern fiddle heads selling in Wakeman's.
Yeah.
It's like $10 a pound, but. And we bought like two or three fiddle heads, and it's really, really delicious. Slimy, a bit crunchy, and it's quite nice.
Wegmans is quite magical in its own right. That's why I live here, I think. Wegmans.
Because of Wegmans.
Because of Wegmans, yeah. But yeah, so certainly, is that the main type of, when it comes to edible ferns, is that?
Well, ferns can also kill you.
So you don't want to eat that one?
So you don't want to eat all the ferns. Right. There are certain ferns you want to eat. There are certain ferns you want to avoid. So if you go to the Asian grocery stores, it may not be a good idea to eat the ferns in the Asian grocery stores. So Asians tend to eat a different kind of fern fiddle heads. And it's known that kind of fiddle heads can cause cancers. The study on this is pretty well known. But I guess they're too tasty that they just cannot not eat them. So
Is it like you eat one
well,
and you have cancer? Or is it like smoking, where if you
Right.
keep consuming them?
definitely there's a dosage
Okay.
effects here. It was originally discovered that a lot of cattle that graze on this kind of ferns tend to develop stomach cancers. And later they did more research on it. They isolate the compounds that actually cause the cancer from this fern. So if you see ferns in the wilderness, you can eat that. But in Asian stores, yeah.
Yeah, be cautious. Be cautious of your fern consumption. So tell us, what is the Li Lab focused on right now here at BTI? So you've been here for almost a year.
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the Li Lab right now? What are we doing?
So we're doing a lot of genomics on ferns. Ferns have a really big genomes. You know, they can have chromosomes as many as 1,400 chromosomes.
Okay.
So that would be like 10 times or 100 times larger than humans. So it's incredibly large.
Yeah.
But we are trying to sequence some of their genomes and trying to see why they are so big. And because ferns are sister to all the seed plants. So if you want to understand the origin of seeds, the origin of flowers, ferns are the key.
And if we unlock some of those mysteries, what is your grand vision for what that research can do for us?
Well, I want to make ferns great again.
So you don't think they're great already?
Well, they used to be great, you know. So in the Cretaceous, again, 200 or something million years ago, ferns dominated the earth. They were if you walk into a forest, you see ferns, tree ferns, really tall ferns. They just dominate the earth. And the evil flowering plants come along, and they took over the planet.
So your quest is to cover the world in ferns again. You want a fern takeover.
Right, revive the fossil fuels.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes. We certainly are not all about that.
No.
Well, so how's the lab coming along? You're adding some members. Is it growing nicely?
I think so. I think sometimes they are having fun without me. So I think that's a good sign.
Well, you're the head of the lab now. You know, that's right.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So Fay-Wei was nice enough to bring some pyrotechnics with him today. So what do we have here that we're going to demonstrate?
So this is a bottle of lycophyte spores. Lycophyte is a fern relative.
Okay.
So this powdery stuff of their spores. They don't produce seeds, they don't flowers, they generate spores, spores disperse, and they form new plants. And the lycophyte spores are really magical. Could you hold this water for me?
Sure.
In case
sure. I got the
burn
water.
myself, you can
Yeah, don't do that.
rescue
Don't burn
me.
yourself.
Right, kind of, okay.
So if we need another hand, we can.
Right.
So they're flammable.
They are flammable. They have a lot of oil in their spores. So earlier this centuries, people collected spores as a magic trick, for example, and theoretical effects. They want to burn something, they produce a lot of fires, they use this. And it's also use camera. So if you want to make a flashlight for camera, you do this. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
So there's a lot of oil, it burns really well. Because it has a lot of oil, if I dump some of this water and stick your finger into it.
Just stick my finger in there. Yeah. Into the flammable powder.
But there's a water beneath it.
Okay. You sure?
Sure, yeah.
You've done this before?
Maybe.
All right.
And then pour it out. Do you feel wet?
Does it feel wet?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, because it's highly hydrophobic.
Yeah, it's actually really dry.
Right. So I brought the napkins for you.
Is this consumable? Is this?
Right. So they used this to coat the pills, so that the pills won't stick to each other.
Okay.
Again, because they're hydrophobic.
And then is that still used today?
No. Yeah.
I'm trying to give ferns their due credit for helping us all out here.
Ferns are great.
Yeah, that's fun.
Magical.
That's fun. So when you
I'm sorry for all.
no, it's okay. It's all part of the job. It's great to get my hands on. It took the interview to the last interview to actually have some hands-on science here. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So what's the big picture here? What's next for your fern research? What is what in the coming years? What are you hoping to do? I know you're trying to put together this trip to go do some fern exploring. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So part of my research is to understand the diversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to understand diversity. I also want to understand why they are so diverse. So there's two main focus of my lab. And to understand why it's so diverse, we need to go out and collect ferns. And part of our research, we have found probably a new species in Madagascar. And we want to, have a nice field trip to Madagascar and collect these ferns, and then to confirm if this is indeed a new species or not.
So you think there's a new species
We think there's
in
a new
Madagascar?
species. Yeah, based on a lot of work we done based on herbarium specimens. So herbarium specimen is the plants that people collected previously and stored into a herbarium, the dead plants. And we're looking from those specimens, and we think this plant looks very different from the rest we have known. And we think that's probably a new species.
Well, that's a long way to go.
Yeah.
I hope you find it, or I hope it's there waiting
So
for you.
that's the beauty of it, because when people collect plants, they know where exactly they collected them. So they have a GPS coordinate.
Oh, really?
So we can, based on that coordinates, we can go exactly to the same spot people collected before.
How big a spot are we talking about here?
It's probably some roadside ditch thing. We don't know.
Is it one of those things where it could be like those huge, like a crevice between you and the spot, and that you don't know how you're going to get there? Does it get adventurous like that when you're out fern hunting?
It depends. Sometimes it can be really adventurous. Sometimes just stop your car on the side of the road and collect them.
And you were just in Florida. What were you doing down in Florida?
I was visiting Selby Botanical Gardens. They have a huge fern collections in Selby. So we're brainstorming some really nice collaborations between Selby Botanical Gardens. Maybe use their living collections and our genomic expertise. So maybe there's some collaborations there.
Great. So we're sitting by two ferns right now, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about these ferns that are right next to us?
Definitely. So there's two ferns.
Are these visible? Can we see these ferns in the show? Okay, I'm told yes.
So they belong to two different families. So that is Davalia and Davaliaceae. This is Aglaomorpha and Polypolyaceae. Totally different families, but they have the same common name in Chinese. The translations of that would be bone broken repair. So meaning they can repair your broken bones.
Oh,
So it has been used in Chinese medicine for a long time.
both of them?
Both of them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Exactly. Totally unrelated plants, but have the same effects, have the same common name.
And is that medicine effective?
There are some studies showing that they indeed can promote the bone cells to regenerate.
Really?
Yeah. The extracts. We don't know exactly what, but the extracts can do that. We don't know which exactly the chemical can do that. But it's been proven scientifically.
So if I break my leg,
Go to a doctor, don't eat
no?
this.
You sure? Because that sounds easier. Just start munching some ferns. Not that easy.
Well, I guess you have to follow a specific recipe how to prepare it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Because it's the extract, you said.
Right.
Is what does that. Okay, well, something to keep in my back pocket if I ever have a catastrophe. Do you have any good stories? Are there any, funny moments or crazy things that happen when you're out in the field, fern hunting? Or is it pretty much, it goes the way you know it's going to go? You say, oh, this is where they're located, I'm going, and it's uneventful.
Well, there was a time when my advisor and I was doing some field work in southern Arizona, and there are a lot of border controls in Arizona, close to the Mexico border.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving there. We're collecting ferns. There are a lot of desert-adapted ferns actually in Arizona. They live in the desert. They can cope with the really dry environments, and they do great over there. It's really cool. They look very different from other ferns. And so we're collecting them. But then we met a border control police officer. And because I didn't have my identification with me, and I had been in the field for many, many days, and so I looked pretty rough, and I'm also, not like typical American-looking folk.
Caucasian. Caucasian.
Right. So, the officer was asking me for identifications, and I don't have a passport with me, and he was frightening me too. Maybe I got deported to Mexico.
Well, we're glad that didn't happen. We're glad you made it back. That's a good rule of thumb for you kids out there. If you're fern hunting, make sure you have your passport. Right. Well, Fay-Wei, thanks for spending some time with us and shedding some light on fern research and all your fern hunting. Do you carry a whip when you're out there fern hunting? You don't go full like Indiana Jones style, casual attire?
I carry plastic bags.
That is intense.
A lot of them.
Well, I think it's really, learning more about your research, I really had no idea how old ferns really are, and certainly have developed an appreciation for them through you and how you present them. So, I'm ready to make ferns great again. I look forward to ferns reestablishing their dominance in our modern era here. So if, we've been asking people at the end of these interviews, how can people that aren't really scientists necessarily, but they think what you're doing is important, is there any way that people can support what you're trying to do? Is there any, what can someone do if they want to get more involved in advancing the work of the Li Lab?
Yeah, so right now, funding for science is getting fewer and fewer. It's more and more difficult to get grants to do research. But what we are doing in my lab is doing fundamental research. We want to understand the plant diversity out there, to characterize them before they go extinct. So if you care about environments, if you care about the plants, if you care about the ferns in your backyards, support us.
Yeah. And I imagine a plant that's been on this planet for 360, 400 million years has been through all sorts of environments. And there's probably a lot to learn from that, I would imagine, right? Because you study a lot about the evolution, right, of the ferns.
Yeah. So ferns have a very different ways to adapt to the environments. They live in a really low-lying environments. Sometimes they can tolerate a lot of water loss and come back. There are some ferns that are called resurrection ferns. They can lose up to 90% of their water content and then come back, totally alive. So ferns are really unique and cool. Again, our crop plants, the foods, they are flowering plants, right? Mm-hmm. But if you want to understand those ferns, you have to understand ferns because, ferns are the older lineages. They are the sister group to all the flowering plants. So if you want to understand flowering plants, you have to know ferns.
Ferns come first. Okay, Fay-Wei Li of the Li Lab here at BTI. You can follow him on Twitter at fern.wei and look up his lab on btiscience.org. You'll learn lots of information about his lab and what they're doing and any potential ways that you can support them.